You've seen it, right? That deep, almost unbreakable political support that can seem, well, kind of baffling if you're on the outside looking in. Today, we're going to get into the psychology of it all and try to understand what's really going on. I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? It's dominated conversations for years. Why do millions of people throw their strong support behind a political leader like Donald Trump? Is it just about certain policies, economic frustration, or is there something much, much deeper happening in our own psychology? Well, a whole decade of research from political scientists and psychologists suggests the answer isn't simple, not at all. Strong political support usually comes from a really complex mix of identity, powerful emotions, and, just our individual life experiences. So, to really unpack all this, we're going to explore 5 key psychological drivers that the research keeps pointing to. We'll look at everything from our sense of group identity all the way to the role the media plays. Okay, first up is one of the most powerful forces in all of human behavior, that deep fundamental need to belong. And this instinct we have to form group identities, it plays a massive role in politics. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it social identity theory. But at its core, it's a pretty simple idea. We are basically wired to see the world in terms of us and them. And once we identify with a group, our loyalty to that group can become incredibly strong. And this creates a really clear psychological divide. We see our own group through a lens of pride and shared values. We trust them. The other group, though, they can start to look different, maybe elitist, or just plain frustrating. This goes way beyond just disagreement. It's about identity. For a lot of supporters, this group identity is built around really powerful concepts like national pride and core cultural values. But it's also defined by what it stands against, like a deep distrust of political elites and a serious frustration with established institutions. And that frustration with institutions, well, that leads us directly into our second key factor, a really profound and growing distrust in the very systems that are supposed to run society. And look, this isn't just a hunch. The data completely backs this up. Research from places like the Pew Research Center consistently finds that a huge number of supporters report very low trust in the government, in the media, and in politics as usual. And this isn't some recent blip. This decline in trust has actually been a trend that's been growing for decades now, and not just in one country, but across many. People have increasingly felt that the system just isn't working for them anymore. So here's the crucial part. When a large part of the population feels ignored or even betrayed by the system, it creates a perfect opening for candidates who position themselves as outsiders, as challengers who are ready to confront the old way of doing things. That message becomes incredibly powerful. This feeling of being left behind is often tied right into our third factor, this deep-seated anxiety about the future, which is driven by massive economic and cultural shifts. Just think about it for a second. The world is changing faster than ever. You have economic uncertainty from globalization and automation, these intense debates around immigration, and cultural values that feel like they're shifting right under our feet. For many people, that's pretty unsettling. And when people feel that their entire way of life is under threat, the psychological response is often to look for leaders who promise stability, who promise security, and who promise a return to what feels familiar and safe. But it's not just about what's happening outside of us. Our own internal wiring, our personality, also plays a huge role. And this brings us to our fourth point, the link between our own personality traits and our political choices. So, one area that psychologists have studied a lot is something called authoritarian tendencies. Now, this term sounds a little scary, but it doesn't mean people want a dictator. It really just refers to a set of personality traits that prioritize order, clear hierarchies, and strong, decisive leadership, especially when times feel uncertain. The psychological progression here is actually pretty clear. A deep desire for order and stability, well, that leads to a preference for a strong leader. And it's often combined with a natural discomfort with all that rapid social change we were just talking about. So it makes perfect sense that voters who score higher on these traits are often drawn to leaders who project an image of strength, who are assertive, and who are not afraid to confront their opponents head-on. That style of leadership just resonates more with their worldview. All right, and finally, we absolutely cannot ignore the world we're all living in. Our fifth factor is sort of a combo deal. It combines the powerful influence of our modern media environment with the raw power of human emotion. More and more, we live in what researchers call echo chambers.
Our social media algorithms and our curated news feeds, they show us things that we already agree with. And over time, this doesn't just confirm our beliefs, it strengthens them, and it makes opposing views seem that much more alien.
And let's be honest, politics has always been emotional. Campaigns are literally designed to tap into our deepest feelings, our anger at the system, our fear of the future, our pride in our group, and our hope for something better. Emotions are what motivate us to actually act.
And this is really the key. When a leader can successfully tap into those emotions, when supporters truly feel that this person gets their frustration and shares their values, that bond can become incredibly powerful and personal. It goes way beyond just agreeing on policies.
So, to wrap it all up, there's no single simple reason for strong political support. It's a powerful combination of these 5 factors we've discussed: our need to belong, our distrust in the system, our anxieties about the future, our own personality, and the emotional, media-driven world we all live in. You know, understanding all this doesn't mean you have to agree or disagree with any particular viewpoint. It just helps explain why our divisions can feel so intense and why we so often see the world in profoundly different ways. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Of all these factors, what do you think influences people's political beliefs the most?